this is Brewbird. In this video, we're going to talk about the mistakes I made, some of the regrets I have, and what I would do differently if I were going to participate on Master Distiller again. So, let's get to it. Get up on it and do, get up on it and do, my channel's thriving. So being on the Master Distiller show, it has been quite a journey for me. I mean, when I interviewed for it, I had to wait about a year until I actually got on the show and it was filmed, and then I had to wait a year or so for the episode to actually be released on the Discovery Channel. So yeah, it's been like a long time. The episode is out now. I decided prior to it coming out that I wouldn't watch it because even with these YouTube videos, like it's very weird for me to sit down and talk to just the camera and look into the big black circle and act like I'm talking to a real person. Like it's difficult for me. When I'm editing videos, it's also just like so painful to listen to my own voice and look at myself. Like I just can't do it. So having to watch an episode on TV and see myself and know that everyone can see that is a bit too much for me. So I've kind of decided not to watch it. We'll see if I stick to that, but yeah, for now I haven't watched it. I just kind of want to reflect back on some of the things that I would have done differently if, I could go back in time. So the first thing is I was on the tea episode. It was all about tea, and I thought it made sense to not try to do anything weird or strange or that I wasn't used to. So I should bring malted barley, which is what I'm familiar working with from my time in brewing school and also in the UK when I did a lot of mashes to make Scotch whiskey. So I thought that was a good idea to use that as the base material. But looking back, that was a terrible decision. Not only was it more expensive, but on top of that, I didn't really know this prior to going on the show, but there was only like an hour or an hour and a half to actually do the mash. And when I actually got to the set, I could see people bringing like brown sugar, molasses, like just pure sugar, malt extract. I wish I would have brought just malt extract with me. That would have saved me so much time instead of trying to mash and collect the wort from all this grain. It made no sense looking back. It caused me just so much stress right at the start, and all these cameras are like on you, they're following your movements, and it's just stressed out beyond belief. It's just like very weird because when you're doing things, you have no control on how it's edited, and every time you make a mistake, you're like, oh no, that was caught on film. Like, I hope that doesn't make it to the final edit. So there was a lot of that going on in my head, yeah, especially on that first day of filming when we did the mash. And then other people would bring, sugar. And so it's very simple, like an hour and a half, that's like more than enough time to prepare it. All they have to do is dissolve the sugar or dissolve the malt extract with some warm water, stir it up, and you're good to go. Whereas I was I don't know what I was doing. I was getting grain everywhere. I had like 2 different pots with me because it was all done outside. The temperature would be really low and then it would spike very high and it wouldn't come down. And if you know anything about brewing, like the temperature is really, really important on getting the right enzymes to activate. And if the temperature gets too high, then the enzymes that you want to work will just be denatured and they won't work. So even if you can get the temperature back down, the enzymes, it's useless, it's too late. And so if the enzymes aren't working properly, then you're not getting as much sugar extraction from the grain, and then in turn you're not getting you're getting very little alcohol at the end for all of that effort. The second mistake is I wore this shirt on the first day. In my head, I thought like I could change shirts between the filming days. Like I didn't realize that the shirt that you wore on the first day, you had to wear on all the days. And I chose like a shirt that kind of like was a bit lower. And so when I bent down, like people could kind of see inside. Yeah, that was just bad. So after the first day, I had to get some tape and like tape the shirt close to my body so it was sticking onto my skin and it wouldn't show anything when I bent down. If I'd known that, I would have definitely worn different clothes. And you're not also allowed to wear anything with like logos on it. So they try to cover that up, which makes sense. My shirt didn't have any logos or anything, but I think Brad was wearing a hat and he had like a tattoo that needed to be covered up as well because they can't show that stuff. And that's why if you watch the show Moonshiners, Master Distillers, you'll sometimes see they have like tape covering certain areas of their body or their clothes, and that's why. Yeah, so that clothing choice was not good at all. And the third regret was not learning how to read the bead. Not learning how to read the bead was pretty detrimental as well to any chances I had of making it to the end, because it turned out that it was very, very, very important that the alcohol that was presented to the judges was 50% ABV. I don't know the exact ABV because again, we had no instruments, but I do know that I had the lowest ABV of all three. It kind of was out of my control because the mash went so poorly. There was like no alcohol in it, I imagine. So then the first distillation would naturally also have a very low ABV because I just didn't get enough alcohol. So I wasn't surprised when they said like I was ranked third after the first distillation and I got to pick my equipment last. I saw it coming a mile away. But the second distillation, they wanted it at 50% ABV, and I was trying my best to get it to 50%, but you know, I don't know exactly what reading the bead looks like at 50% versus 60% or 40%. I only know that the bubbles, when you shake the jar of alcohol, tend to disappear really quickly at very high ABV and take a lot longer when it's at a lower ABV. So I knew that, I got that connection, but I just couldn't tell you that precisely what the beading should look like at 50% ABV. And that really ended up being my undoing because I swung from having a really low ABV to having like a way too high ABV. And they said it was so high that it kind of wasn't marketable. I mean, I would have liked to know what the result would have been if I had been able to give it exactly at 50% ABV, but you know, there's no way I could have done that blind. Yeah, so I think those are my biggest regrets from being on the show, is choosing to bring malted barley. Number two being the clothes that I wore, and the third thing being that I didn't know how to read the bead. And so that's why I was eliminated so quickly. I kind of thought at the end that when they were judging the spirits, they would look at flavor more. And since in my second distillation, I used tea and no one else had actually incorporated tea into their product yet, I thought maybe that might be a bit better, but no, I feel like it really came down to not being able to read the bead for me. It was definitely not my best distilling moment for sure. The flavor was okay, and I'm happy that I didn't get eliminated on flavor. It was just ABV, which for me is kind of, in a professional setting, that's like easily fixable. You know, you just put the hydrometer in, you read the ABV, and then you add some water to it or add some alcohol, and then you can just adjust the ABV. And again, in a professional distillery, reading the bead, it's not really a thing. Like you have to use the hydrometer. You have to have very accurate measurements because alcohol is so heavily regulated by the government. That's about all I wanted to say about my experience on the Master Distiller program. I did enjoy it. It was really, as I said, super educational and kind of a once in a lifetime thing, you know? I don't know if I'll get the opportunity to be on TV again, but you know, I hope so. It was pretty fun. Yeah, I'd definitely give it another go if I was given the opportunity to do so. If you do watch it, and specifically my episode, definitely let me know in the comments down below what you thought about it. At this time, like I said, I'm not planning to watch it, so it would kind of be nice to hear what other people think after watching the show. I don't even know who won. I'm not sure who won, so tell me who won in the comments down below. Was it Brad or was it Chris? So please support the channel by leaving a comment down below, hitting the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already, for more distilling, brewing, and fermentation videos. This is Brewbird, sending good vibes your way. I'll see you next time. Get up on